In this video, what we're going to do is add and subtract rational expressions. So if you notice from the first section that we did, it was all reciprocal functions, which are rational functions as well. They're just, written with only x's in the denominator. Instead, we're going to flip them up top and have them in the bottom too. So what we're going to do is find common denominators by using their least common multiple, and then add or subtract them depending on what the problem says to do. So the first thing is finding the least common multiple. So how do we do that? Well, if you're looking for the least common multiple for monomials, meaning one term, you need to get bigger numbers and higher exponents. So you need to look at your numbers of 6, 15, and 9 and find a number that all three of them go into. Not that they're divisible by, but what they go into. And in this case, that would be 90. Then you look at your x's. You have x, x squared, and then x again. So we go with the highest one, which is x squared. And then you look at y's, we have y, this one doesn't have it at all, this one has y to the fourth, so y to the fourth would be your least common multiple, or I'm sorry, 90x squared y to the fourth is the least common multiple. So the number, the x, and the y, we are always going higher. All right, now in your second example here, so this one is using that idea, but to actually add two expressions together. So you need to start with finding the least common multiple, multiply them by the missing factors, and then simplify as much as possible. And so what we need to do is look at only our denominators. We don't care about anything else. So we have 5a cubed b squared plus 10ab. Or we don't, I'm sorry, get rid of the plus. We don't want that. We just want and 10ab. So the least common multiple, first of all, will be the number 10 because 5 and 10 both go into 10. Then a cubed, because we always go higher, we always go to the highest exponent, and then b squared, because again, we go to the highest exponent. So then what we do is we take our original problem, and we will write 4 over 5a cubed b squared, and then we're going to multiply by, in this case, we have the a cubed already and we have the b squared already. We only have 5 though, and we need it to be 10. So we're going to multiply by 2 to make that become a 10, but whatever you do to the bottom, you must do to the top as well. And so then we add to that, we go ahead and add, our second expression, which is 9 over 10ab. And then what do we need to multiply by here? So in this case, we already have the 10, but we only have a. We need a cubed, so we need to multiply by a squared. And we need b squared. We only have b, so we need to multiply by b. And multiply by that on top as well. Then we go ahead and simplify as much as we can. So 4 times 2 is 8. And our denominator is now 10a cubed b squared plus 9a squared b over 10a cubed b squared. And now that they have the same denominator, we can simplify it down to just one big fraction of 8 plus 9ab, or sorry, a squared b over 10a cubed b squared. And this would be your final answer. So there's your final rational expression. Now the next one is finding the least common multiple for polynomials. So what that means is you have to factor. So after you factor it, then you multiply each of the polynomial by the factors needed to make it match the least common multiple. So we have to factor, take one piece of each factor, and then that's your least common multiple. So in this case, remember to always take out your GCF first. So GCF in this case would actually be a y squared. So we're going to factor out a y squared, leaving us with y squared plus 8y plus 15. Remember, do your a times c, which in this case is 1 times 15, and b is 8. So that would give us the numbers 3 and 5 because they multiply to give us 15, but add to give us the number 8. Divide by your a term, simplify, in this case just 3 and 5, and then we go ahead and write out our factors. So don't forget about your y squared that you took out to begin with, and then y plus 3 because it's a positive 3, and y plus 5. Now we need to come over here and factor this example as well. Now in this case the GCF is just 1, so we don't have anything necessarily to do in order to start the factoring. We just get to jump right into the A times C. So A times C is 1 times a negative 40, which is just a negative 40. And the B term is a negative 3. So that would give us a negative 8 and a positive 5. Divide by the A term, simplify each one, which stays as negative 8 and a positive 5, and write your factors, y minus 8 and y plus 5. So now what we need, the least common multiple, is going to be made up of one piece of everything. So the only one that actually repeats, you'll notice, is this y plus 5. So our least common multiple is going to be y cubed, y plus 3, y plus 5, and y minus 8. We don't need to put that second y plus 5 in there because we're going for the least common multiple, so we don't include anything more than once. So your least common multiple is y squared, y plus 3, y plus 5, and y minus 8. All right, so now we're going to actually do a problem, which in this time is going to be subtracting, but we have to simplify by actually finding out our least common multiple, which in this case, because there's more than one term in the denominator, we have to factor. So to be able to factor something like this, for example, 6x minus 18, all we can do for that is take a 6 out, leaving us with x minus 3. There's nothing else that we can do for that. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that first part of the problem, 6 times x minus 3. Now here, we have to take out the GCF, so we take out a 2 first, and that leaves us with 2x squared minus 7x plus 3. And then A times C, which is 2 times 3, that gives you 6, and your B term is a negative 7, and that would be a negative 6 and negative 1, and you need to divide it by your A term to give you a negative 3 and a negative 1/2. So don't forget about your 2 that we factored out in the beginning, and then x minus 3 and x minus 1/2, but remember no fractions, so 2 times x minus 3 and then 2x minus 1. Okay, so I'm actually going to get rid of this thing right here and just keep on working our way down. So we have our factors of 6 times x minus 3 and then 2 times x minus 3 times 2x minus 1. So our least common multiple is going to be made up of at least an x minus 3 because we have 2 of those. We're going to need a 2x minus 1. And then we need what number that 6 and 2 both go into. Well, in this case, 6 is going to be that number because we can multiply 2 by 3 in order to get 6. So we're going to take our original problem from up here, 5 over 6x minus 18. So 5 over 6 times x minus 3. Actually, I should put the factored term. And what are we missing in order for our least common multiple to match? So we have the 6 already, we have the x minus 3 already, we don't have 2x minus 1. So we need to multiply by a factor of 2x minus 1. Then we have our subtraction, and our second term here is x minus 1. And we are going to put that over our factored version right here of 2 times x minus 3 times 2x minus 1. And what do we need to multiply that by? Well, look back up at your least common multiple. We have the x minus 3 already. It's right here. We have the 2x minus 1 already. But all we have is 2, and we need it to be 6. So all we need is a 3 on top and bottom. So go ahead and distribute your 5 through to get 10x minus 5 over 6 times x minus 3 times 2x minus 1 minus, now distribute your 3 to both terms here, so we get 3x minus 3 over 3 times 2 is 6, and then x minus 3 and 2x minus 1. Now, in order to actually subtract these two things, we need to distribute this negative to both, and our denominators match, so we're just going to make one big denominator of 6 times x minus 3 times 2x minus 1. And we have 10x minus 5. Distribute your negative to make it a negative 3x and a positive 3, so that your final answer would be 7x minus 2 over 6 times x minus 3 times 2x minus 1. And that is your final simplified answer of adding those two together. Okay, so it's time consuming, it takes up a lot of space. The more organized you are, the better off you'll be, and making sure that you have the steps for factoring memorized and all that good stuff. So have it all written down, try to keep it organized, and then come in with any questions that you have.